Hi, everybody. Welcome to our final celebration for the Summer Exploratory Experience in Design program, or as we call it, SEED. My name is Jennifer Lawrence. I'm honored to be the Executive Director of the Sasaki Foundation. Thank you for being here with us today. We would like to first start by acknowledging the land on which we are meeting today. This land is the territory of the Massachusetts, Pawtucket, and their neighbors, the Wampanoag and Nipmuc peoples, who have stewarded this land for hundreds of generations. We recognize the repeated violations of sovereignty, territory, and water perpetrated by invaders that have impacted the original inhabitants of this land for 400 years. We extend our respect to citizens of these nations who live here today, their ancestors who have lived here for over 500 generations, and to all Indigenous people. We also affirm that this acknowledgement is insufficient. It does not undo the harm that has been done and continues to be perpetrated against Indigenous peoples, their land, and water. At the Sasaki Foundation, we believe that design has the power to address the most urgent challenges facing us. Design can be an agent of change, and yet access to design, especially for people desiring to make change and to preserve community, is often limited. Our work aims to amplify the voices of communities, to create space for dialogues that highlight important topics of social justice and resilience, and to provide design education and employment opportunities to young people. That is really why we are here today, to celebrate the importance of this work, to thank the 42 incredible students who will be presenting today, and to look at just how much more inclusive our communities could be if we were the ones co-designing them. To do this, we have a strong team of foundation staff and board working tirelessly. Thank you for all of your hard work. We truly appreciate you. And can the staff and board members here today just raise your hands so folks can thank you and appreciate you? Thank you. And now a really big thank you goes to our teaching assistants, our program manager, and our youth manager. Can you stand up and get a huge round of applause? They're all around the edges. They're actually standing for a reason. The program truly could not have happened, let alone could have been as successful as it has been without you. So thank you, thank you. This has been an incredible year. We have a larger group than we have ever had before, thanks to the incredible support from the Metro North Workforce Board and the funding that they received through the Commonwealth Corporation, the support that we received from Artists of Humanity, and the funding that we jointly received from the City of Boston Office of Youth Employment and Opportunity, the partnership of Eisenberg Projects and their collaboration with Boston Global Investors, the support of Sasaki, where we are today, the partnership of the many partners who took us on site visits. I will name a few, I will miss some, my apologies. The City of Somerville, DLJ, USQ, Dream, Mass Design, BPDA, Sasaki, many, many more. Of course, the collaboration with our partners at Digital Ready, the BSA, the Boston PIC, and the Designery, and the many Sasaki mentors who supported these youth for the past 6 weeks. If you are a mentor who gave guidance and feedback and critique, just raise your hand. Thank you. Line raising their hands too. It has been powerful to work together. We really appreciate you. So what did these incredible high school students work on this summer? They were able to work on 2 different projects. One is the Groundwork Somerville New Urban Farm. Groundwork Somerville is a nonprofit that works with young people in Somerville to do urban agriculture work, food security work, and a whole bunch of other really important things. And the 6 teams today, you will see presentations about their potential redesigns for their farm as they're going to be moving in the next handful of years. Our Seed 2 students got to work on the 10 World Trade Youth Design Competition. So much fun. They presented on Wednesday. We're just so ecstatic about all of the work that they did. Congratulations, you were fantastic. And you're going to get to see their phenomenal presentations in just a minute. So before the teams share their hard work, I have housekeeping to share with you. First, it's an informal setting, so grab some food, use the facilities if you need to. You can take phone calls around the corner. But if you do need to chat or use your phone or access the restrooms, which are this way, please go that way because the students are going to be standing right here. If you do need to talk on the phone, please leave the room so that we don't distract from the presentations. Please turn your cell phones to silent. And also, we're going to open up for questions on the chat for anybody online and in person here. At the end of each presentation, we'll probably have time for 2 questions. So save them up and raise your hand really, really vigorously if you have one. For the presenters, this is really important. This microphone will not hear you. You won't hear me for a second, folks online. If you talk over here or down here, they won't hear you. And I will have to interrupt your presentation to come to you to remind you to bring it up here. So co-presenters, if you see your partner bringing down, just bring it back up for them. It's gotta be up like this or else nobody online can hear you. Also, let me see. You're gonna do great. We're really excited for everything you're about to present. And now I get to turn it over to Team Sequoia, so come on up.
Good afternoon, everyone. We are Team Sequoia. I'm Ava.
I'm Nathan.
I'm Sophia. I'm Divine.
I'm Rebel.
And our other teammate, Johan, is watching from afar.
Our mission statement is rooted in the nature of conscious design and emphasizing community.
For the past 6 weeks, our client has been Groundwork Somerville, who is a nonprofit urban farm based in Somerville, Massachusetts. They are dedicated to raising the next generation of green and sustainable leaders for Somerville. As they place an emphasis on community, they host several events throughout the year, such as mural painting workshops, harvest festivals, and seedling sales.
So Groundwork Somerville is located in Ward 2 of Somerville, and we were tasked to design their new farm, which is in this location, and that's where the old one is. And currently there's a lot of development in this big area for housing, which will definitely affect our new farm location in terms of shade, sunlight, and soil quality. So we definitely have to keep those in mind in our designs.
And over here is a graphic that represents all the design components we need to address in our new site. All of these components fall under the topics of crops, education, and community.
So this map shows on a macro scale the stores around the site, and from red to green, the least affordable to the most affordable. And as you can see, there aren't really that many affordable stores around here, and the ones that are there are very, very far away.
This is a transit map with the white dots being the recommended stops and a walk path to the new site.
Adding on to that, this is a pedestrian circulation map. Arrows that are thicker, there's a lot more pedestrians walking in that area, where arrows that are thinner, there's not as many pedestrians.
So our materials for the farm focuses a lot on sustainability, which is our interest. So from the permeable pavement up there, that would help with stormwater management and reduce risk of flooding around the farm. The cedar wood is good for rot resistance and weather resilient. So least low chances of that. The glass doors will be used mostly in the greenhouse, which is going to be a sunshield glass, which helps with deflecting heat in the summer and trapping it in the winter. And we're going to use recycled stones for the garden bed.
For our initial urban farm design, we included all the components that we wanted to, but the shape was very rectilinear and rigid. So using that, we made a more organic and natural shape inspired by the shape of a flower.
And so this is our final layout. As you can see, we incorporated a lot of the organic aspects of it and also a very radial pattern to emphasize community access and engagement. And here's in context with the site. And then here's a 3D render of the site, which I can.
This is a diagram of pedestrian and vehicle circulation on the site. At the top, we made the paths wider at the entrances and also in the center pavilion and the outdoor kitchen over there.
And then over here is a photo that dictates where all of our components are going to be laid out. As soon as you enter, you're going to be going through a trellis, which will be like a welcome and inviting space for you to walk through. This will lead to a central community space where you have on the left your greenhouse and then also the kitchen. And then all around the whole entire site are garden beds for to grow produce and crops.
The trellis allows for a inviting entrance to the site. It also gives a visual experience to the community. It also gives access to the garden beds.
So this is the community space that the trellis leads to, and these are the canopies, and they're inspired by Gardens by the Bay in Singapore, and they also resemble a lot like trees. So these canopies are perfect for shade during sunny days and also shelter during rainy days, and they're ideal for rainwater collection. And the material we chose is durable coated cedar.
And this is a 3D rendered version of our flex space, and it houses our mobile market, which can be removed depending on the context which the space is used.
And so given this flexibility, during the daytime, this can be used for the marketplace. During the evening, this can also be used for events because the canopies can hold lights to illuminate the space. And then also during rainy days, this obviously provides shelter.
Adding on to the rain, this is a section cut of our canopies. Over there, the roofs are angled so that the rainwater will go to the central point. This will go through a pipe and eventually lead to a water tank. And this water tank will redistribute water throughout the site, specifically for our garden beds. And then over here is a render of our greenhouse / classroom structure. This is what it looks like from the inside. There's a glass wall to partition the classroom in the greenhouse so you can still see the vertical gardens while you're teaching. And then over here is the floor plan listing the dimensions of the greenhouse. And then over here is another detailed section view. It's important to note that on the roof of the classroom section, there's actually solar panels, and this will be used to power our solar power projector. And then over here, on our greenhouse, we made our roofs angled so that the water will go to a central point. This central point will lead to a pipe, and this will lead to the water collection system.
The outdoor kitchen is strategically placed so it would be close and give direct access to the greenhouse, the center pavilion, and also the garden beds. For example, the kitchen allows for the community to be taught how to cook the food that's grown at the site.
We also created a mobile kitchen that will be used to generally serve the community, especially the homeless.
Our mobile marketplace allows for it to go around and sell produce from the farm and also seedlings to the general community of Somerville. And the section cut shows the storage unit inside and a figure for scale.
Due to soil contamination on the site, we used raised garden beds that are accessible to wheelchairs and young children. On the site, we made the garden beds in the shape of flower petals.
The garden beds also include vertical gardens that will be using recycled tin cans. And this is the 3-bin compost system for the farm. We also designed cold frames that will be used for year-long round farming, especially during the cold seasons. And on the left, you will see the soil composition.
So these are the pollinator gardens, and it's located at the main entrance of our site and close to the beehives, as you can see. So the pollinator garden will hold bug hotels and also native flora, so it can promote the local ecosystem.
These are the insect hotels and beehives that we created that will be also located in the pollinator garden, and they are made from cedar wood so the community can paint on them.
This is a perspective view from the northern main entrance of the site. Also, you could see the community mural, like the trellis, which allows for a easy transition or welcoming transition onto the site. We also have 2 areas for bike storage on the left and right.
And to wrap it all up, our whole entire site was designed to be more community oriented and also have space for education. And we hope you guys were able to see that throughout our design.
Any questions?
Oh, there is one.
I think less a question and more a comment, but wow, you practiced this. Like this is a phenomenal amount of work, really stellar presentation. I hope you're proud of what you did. This is fantastic. And to go first, that's super hard and you just nailed it. So great ideas, really awesome, visuals, and just phenomenal presentation. Great job.
Thank you.
Okay, so to recognize the amazing work of Team Sequoia, I'd be giving them out a certificate. So I lost my words a bit there, but great job, team. You did amazing. And you deserve this. So Ava. Divine. Nathaniel. Robel. And Sophia. Amazing job, team. I hope you're proud of yourself.
Amazing. We're going to have Team Cypress come up. So,
You guys hear me? Good afternoon, everybody.
Hello. Hello.
How are you guys doing today?
Hi, we are Team Cypress. My name is Aubrielle Lyons. I'm from Edward Rook High School.
I'm Edward. I'm from City on the Hill Charter School.
My name is Igal Jama, and I attend Cambridge Regional Latin School.
I'm Sahila Cotton, and I go to Phillips Andover.
My name is CJ, and I go to Cambridge Regional Latin.
And this is our Somerville urban farm design. Our purpose statement is to create a welcoming, accessible, and educational urban farm that innovates to maximize space and create a vibrant and fun environment for all of our farm visitors. And here's more about our client, Groundwork Somerville.
Groundwork Somerville goals and value. These are some Groundwork Somerville goals and value: youth empowerment, equitable food access, welcoming community, and urban farming. Some of Groundwork Somerville needs a bigger greenhouse, indoor and outdoor learning, and more. Site analysis. Where is our site? Our site is here at South Street, and the orange are bunchiniers, the green is the open space, the purple are the bus stop, and here are the residential area. Our site is accessible and you can get to their buses and the green line.
With our site, we looked at it through the lens of social justice. And as you can see, our site is in a previously redlined area. So redlining is the practice used by the FHA, which would highlight minority communities as poor financial risk, preventing them from getting access to food, schooling, and healthcare.
So because of redlining, the Groundwork Somerville area has been like mostly on the redlining side, and it's a lot hotter. The reason of this is because there's been less tree coverage and more impervious surfaces. So this inevitably causes the area to be a lot warmer than it should be compared to the white neighborhoods. And then this is our theme, justice. And we have two major components, environmental justice and social justice. And if we bring this down to a scale, if we look at this through a lens of justice, we can prioritize these four components: habitat, education, accessibility, and sustainability.
So our initial plan was to focus on movement, highlighting that we wanted to connect Boynton Yards development with the residents of the area. We then took a look at the sun pathing that was facing the south, as well as the wind path, which was coming from the northwest. We then placed our garden beds away from shade and facing the sun, as well as using a greenhouse to block the wind path that could affect our crop growth. Finally, we came with this as our final design, having a greenhouse, 2 terrace beds, and our pollinator path, which uses recycled plastic, as well as using stone dust and pea gravel throughout our site, which has a low albedo, which allows it to stay cool year-round.
This circulation map shows how we prioritize multiple entrances and exits to make our space more dynamic. And here are our components. This is our 2-story greenhouse. And on the first floor, we have an indoor and outdoor classroom to reach our educational goals. We have bike storage and food storage to give Groundwork more storage that they needed, and bathrooms because they've never had a bathroom on site. And we also have an elevator for accessibility, so people that can't use the stairs can reach the 2nd floor, which has a viewpoint which faces the whole entire garden and the actual greenhouse.
So this is the inverted umbrella design. So this is our main concept on how we can have shading structure and a cooling set at the same time. So this is the solar panels right here, and it will produce 60 to 80 watts of energy per hour. And then in the winter, it will be able to radiate heat. And then for the stem of the umbrella, we have a mister that is attached to it in case you need to have a cooling system. And then finally, we'll have water coming down for the water catchment system, and it will act as a funnel and be placed into the cistern, and it will collect 3,073 gallons of water per year to be distributed throughout the garden, sorry. And then not only it being a sustainable design, it's also educational because we can educate the youth on urban heat island effects and also cooling sites.
Okay, so I'll get into our garden beds, as you can see here. And these really focus on our education, accessibility, sustainability, and habitat goals. So here's a construction diagram of our regular garden beds. And they're in front of one of our entrances. So right when you enter the site, you see these garden beds made out of sidewalk curbside, which are actually on the current Groundwork Somerville site. And it's something that is really creative that they did. Instead of letting those go to waste, they use that for garden beds. And so we want to honor that creativity and commitment to sustainability that Groundworks has in keeping it with the future site. And you can see the makeup of the soil. That's not too important. And they're 1 foot tall, so accessible to our smaller users. And so here is a cross section of our terrace gardens. So I'll just get into the logistics. They're going to be structured around a gable wall, which is like a bunch of rocks with fenced in. Because these terrace gardens, I'll just see later, they're really big. So we don't want them to be intimidating, but also so they're not like boring. So it gives it a nice feature. And then they're built in 30 inches into the ground with L-shaped wall footing made out of cedar wood because it rots less. And both of these provisions are so it's fully secure. And yeah, and we all know about the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. So our contribution to that is recycled plastic pathways. And then here are some more diagrams. Terrace Garden 1 is about 75 feet long and 7.5 feet tall. So both of them feature deep garden beds, and they're accessible with ramps that are wheelchair compliant, and they are big. And it just shows to prioritize the farming and Groundwork's priority to grow not only culturally relevant food, but enough food. And then here's the diagram, like with the slope, it's optimal for like gravity drip irrigation. So using the energy around us.
And this is our produce. These up here are typical vegetables that we were planning to grow on the farm. And here are cultural relevant vegetables, as Somerville does not only focus on typical, it also focuses on cultural relative garden to give the youth empowerment of sustainability, habitat, accessibility, and education. Pollinators. The oldest flower are on the northeast, and up here are the early season flowering plants, and down here are the mid-season. So the flowers change throughout the season of the year. And it also teaches the youth through education about what pollinators flower they should put throughout the season of the year.
And with all that work, planning, and design, here is the final perspective of what our site will look like. You can see it's meant to be welcoming, accessible, and educational for all the users. And so, yeah, thank you.
Questions?
Or comments, concerns? Yeah.
Yeah, I got this inspiration from a Nabawi umbrella in Saudi Arabia, and that's where I took it from. It's a really cool design. So in Saudi Arabia, it's very hot, and they need a place where you can go for a shade. And during the nighttime, so like in Islam, they have Fajr prayer, and that's where you can go. Like it opens up and it opens up in Fajr prayer, and then during Maghrib when it ends, they let it release, and then yeah, that's how it is. Any more questions? Thank you.
I am so proud of y'all. Y'all have grown so much in the last 6 weeks, so I got certificates for y'all too. So we got CJ, Igal, Eduarda, Abrielle, and Sahila. Good job, y'all. Team Sassafras.
So thank you so much for coming. We're Sassafras, and we're actually part of C2. So our thing was not about Somerville. We actually worked around Seaport, and we're here to show you our kiosk design V2. I'm Safiwa.
I'm Arham.
I'm Miriam.
And I'm Leanna.
We also had another, we also had Caitlin, but she's actually not here today because she went to California, but it's whatever. So we have to skim through some of this, but what we're going to be talking about today is our mission statement, our concept, our inspiration, our kiosk design and axon, our site and floor plan, and our materials. So starting off with our mission statement, Seaport's a very exclusive area, and it feels targeted to people that have the money to shop or eat out. So our goal is to make this kiosk accessible for everyone and make it more, open.
So when we looked at our inspiration for our kiosk, we reflected back on our personal experiences, and two values we held really dear for us were storytelling and childhood comfort. And so we related that to art, and we thought art is all about representing voices that we don't usually hear. So we connected that to indigenous groups in Massachusetts, and then we transitioned to thinking about weaving culture, which I think we can see more in some of the next slides. Oh, and also just to explain, the name Witu means house in the Algonquian language. Yeah. So for the inspiration for the general form of our design, we looked at this picture of a leaf on its side. We were inspired by how it starts with an opening passage and then it curls into a more closed and intimate space. We also appreciated how it was a natural representation of the golden ratio. And then when we looked at the actual construction of our design, we got inspiration from woven wood by MEST, which is basically a design made of curved wooden bands that are notched on top of each other, which is something we tried to emulate in our own design. Oh, to start, we made a paper model. Wait, am I doing it right? All right, so you can see our design is basically split into two sections, the hut and the tail. The tail is meant to serve as an entry point as well as a display wall. Art can be hung up on both sides, and then it leads you into the hut, which is a place for more focal pieces of art, and it also accommodates for 3D pieces of art like sculptures. And then after our paper models, we transitioned to making models out of Bristol board. So as you can see, we went through 3 iterations. In version 1, we really experimented with band height. And then we transitioned to experimenting with the actual weaving pattern. So where bands would intersect and notch into each other. And then in the third version, we combined everything we'd learned in the previous versions to create our final design.
This is our original drawing design of the model, and the people with the green color, it shows the eye view of what a person would see standing.
So going more in depth for the site plan, this is where, as you guys can see, where we chose to put our kiosk. We decided to put it near the public entrance and the main entrance, but also in a good enough spot for the workers to see this site, the kiosk. But it's also like from the outside, you can see this like this big structure. And then for the floor plan, we was thinking that like because of the curves of the kiosk, it gives you like that sense of like safetyness because of enclosed walls. And then this is more of like what it actually looked like, the main entrance, the public entrance, the back of the kiosk, the front of the kiosk, and what it looks like from the stairs.
This is a 3D rendering walkthrough if it loads, actually. Oh, yeah. This is a walkthrough that shows how the kiosk looks in an area that's similar to the lobby of the 10 World Trade, including the large glass walls and the curved cafe wall to show how the sunlight would enter the room and how it would affect the kiosk.
A little too fast.
So our design is made out of different size plank woods that differ from the smallest being 8 feet wide, 8 inches, and the largest being 2 feet wide. And it shows how the curves are different sizes and how it makes a different aesthetic and unique design. This is just another rendering showing in comparison of another person and how the shadows of the people can be seen from the other side and how it affects the look of the kiosk in general. So for our kiosk, we have 2 storage locations, both on the tail, one on the inside and the other on the outside. And we used a technique similar to a sliding Susan, and how the kiosk opens and closes the storage opens and closes for the artist to place any of their belongings and for it to be locked. For our 3D art pieces, we used the pockets of the weaving design to hold 3D art by using a glass or opaque bottom, depending on the artist's preference. And the lights from above and under can light up the artwork and create a spotlight. And yeah. Oh, also, our design is ADA accessible, so the doorway is wider than 5 feet, and anyone is able to go in, turn around, and come back out.
So talking a little bit more on the X-frame, since our kiosk is all curves, our biggest problem was how we're supposed to hang on 2D art. So we came up with these type of like metal where it's adjustable, and you see these little hooks right here. You can like flap the hooks so then you can put on paintings, and you can see more right here. Here's the X-frame, like a model of the X-frame in a painting, and that's what it would look like when it's hanged on the kiosk. Now, talking a little bit more on the materials, we wanted it to have the same feeling like inside like the 10 World Trade building. So we thought of using wood, and we thought of using maple wood because it's a very nice look to it, and it doesn't like, it's not too flashy, and it has really good physical properties because it's strong and it's long lasting. And we were going to use this technique called steam bending to make these cool curves. And we also cared a lot about our lighting. So we thought of 2 lightings, LED light strips and spotlights. As you can see in the bottom photo, we want to put an LED light strip. So like, they shine on and off and different brightness. We also have these spotlights right around here in like different areas where you can shine like a specific sculpture, leave one of them shining, or, have a lot of customization for the artist.
We also, to put the planks of wood together, we have divots on the top and bottom of the different planks just for them to interlock and stay in place. Also, our design is self-standing due to lateral stability and the shape of the design. Since it's in a curved way, it would automatically stand without needing anything else to hold it up.
And here's what it looks like with the lighting. And here's a paper model of the lighting. And there'd be like I said, there'll be like spotlights where you can see over there, and there'll be one LED light strip. Also, it would break down into 3 different pieces, so it's easy to like move and store.
So the big question, why we two? We two is the embodiment of the diversity that we wanted to uplift in the Seaport community. We two weaves together different cultures and communities to create a space for visual storytelling that we hope will propel the 10 World Trade to become a global hub for culture and creativity. Thank you.
Also like to thank Emily, our TA, for dealing with us for 6 weeks. A round of applause for her. This is working. Also our mentors, because without our mentors, we would have not gotten to this place. Especially, who do you think helped us the most?
I'm not saying that.
So any questions?
Congratulations, Sassafras. You guys did so lovely. I'm so proud of all of you.
Oh, there's another question. All right. Thank you.
Amazing. Fantastic job, you guys. And so I'll hand out your certificates. The Safiwa. I also got your Dunkin' gift card. You're so welcome. Arham. Well done. Mariam. Fantastic job. Thank you. And up next is Team Willow.
Good afternoon, everybody. We're Team Willow, and this is our final presentation. My name is Amelia McNally. I go to Everett High School.
My name is Emmanuel Mulwalem. I go to CRLS.
My name is Anna Fan. I go to Excel Academy Traders.
My name's Sam Falk. I go to the O'Brien.
My name's Caleb Idohori. I go to Boston Land Academy.
My name is Sid Hackett. I go to Watertown High School.
So we created an urban farm with a clear mission to maximize functionality while ensuring a welcoming and community-oriented space. Our farm isn't just about the harvest, but also about creating an appealing and captivating environment that breaks away from the dullness often associated with traditional farms. So for those of you who don't know, Groundwork Somerville is the organization that's going to be running the site. They're a community of young leaders working toward a more equitable and greener Somerville. Some facts about them are that they're a nonprofit, community-focused, culturally relevant and diverse, and also educationally incorporated.
So this is community engagement. During our site analysis, we focused on surrounding context, man-made conditions, accessibility, surrounding community, environment, and history. And we noticed that all tied back to community, so we wanted to make sure our farm was welcoming to the people of Somerville. This is access and circulation. So for vehicle circulation, the colors of the lines represent the conditions of the roads. So the warmer colors represent how bad they are, and then the cooler colors represent how good they are. And then the intensity of the color represents how busy the streets are, and same with pedestrian.
So here we have a scaled out map of the important surrounding context that I want to keep in mind. On the left, there's the green line, which can be found nearby for the people that want to access the site from the greater Boston area. Next, the red is the local employment sites, including a Target and a senior home. The Target draws a lot of attention, which can be redirected towards the site. And the blue is also just the neighboring Union Square area, which can be reached within a walking distance.
So this is how our design has kind of progressed throughout the course of this program. We started with bubble diagrams and progressed all the way to doing different drafts of our layout. And then here we have our final layout, which we'll be presenting to you guys today. So this new Harding Street Farm is our final layout. There's a big market in the shape of a leaf that's kind of a center point. We also have outdoor seating, a shed to hold bikes. We also have a greenhouse connected to an indoor classroom, as well as an outdoor classroom with a kitchen incorporated. We also have our raised garden beds and a pollinator garden. And so here you can see our new Harding Street Farm kind of compared to the original South Street Farm.
So this is our, as Sid just said, like main market space, which is going to be the central point of our design. And so it's like leaf shaped. It's got a layer of polycarbonate on top, so light can come through while also allowing for rainwater collection on like the vane. You can see up here, early sketch of the idea and the floor plan, or one of the floor plans, because everything in here is going to be adjustable. It can be moved around as Groundwork Somerville needs it to be, because it is their site. And so here's some precedents that we used for inspiration. And so in here, obviously, there's going to be some market stands so people can sell the food. It's going to be cash registers so they can buy the food. And there's going to be a banquet table so people can sit down, eat the produce if they want to, or just sit down if they need to sit down. And then so, yeah, there's going to be like fairy lights. So during the night, if people are still using the space, it can be used. There's going to be light. The tiles on the floor, it's going to be tile flooring. And they're going to be we're going to have people come in, paint them. So it really brings it back to that idea of community. And then this space also doubles as stage space for the outdoor seating, which is going to be right next.
Well, this is our design for the outdoor seating. We decided to use bamboo for the fencing around the amphitheater so that it's like a small secluded area inside of the farm. The seats are made of grass with stone retaining walls, and then the railing is made of wood so that during the winter it isn't too cold to hold on to.
Okay, so for the shed, we mostly just have it for bike storage, but in our farm, we didn't really have much green spaces besides actual garden beds. So we decided to add a green roof to add more green space to our farm. We were planning to put like edible flowers, berries, just to make the farm more opening. We also have double pane glass for the sliding doors because it acts as a good insulator, as well as bricks for the rest of the shed.
So this, as you can see, is our greenhouse design. On the left-hand side, you can kind of see the progression over the past few weeks. We kind of started off with the precedents that we made, different precedents kind of showing the rainwater collection, how that would be, how that would work. And then we kind of developed over the week 2, week 3, week 4, kind of diagramming everything, trying to figure out where everything would be placed, the dimensions. Obviously, we created something that was 45 by 20 feet wide with a slanted roof on the top for rainwater collection, obviously. This would all be connected by a gutter on the top system that would then transfer the water down into a water collection system that we'll explain later. On the top left side here, you can see basically the floor plan of where everything is, the placement of all the individual garden beds, the placement of a glass encasing garden bed that we have kind of in the middle, and then like individual flower pots hanging on the top, as you can see there. We also have washing stations on the left-hand side of the garden bed of the greenhouse, excuse me. And we also have a bathroom encased in the kind of the corner there that will act as the main bathroom for the entirety of the farm. As we also mentioned, we also have entrances, and then we have the connection to the indoor classroom that we'll now talk about.
So this is the design for our indoor classroom. You can see some precedents that we used. So yeah, the indoor classroom is directly connected to the greenhouse, and within it, you have whiteboards with projectors, as well as tables and seating for students. There's also a carpet, and there's planters throughout the indoor classroom as well to kind of keep up with like the farm theme.
This is the outdoor classroom design. As you can see, we kind of have a wooden pergola on top of it that kind of has a geometric shape to it that adds a little bit of architectural flair onto our design. The general idea of what we were trying to create here was that we wanted to separate the space into 2 separate sections, one for the outdoor kitchen space and one from the outdoor classroom space. The outdoor classroom basically has its essentials: the sink, the stove, the oven, multiple different countertop spaces, seating all the way around. We have vegetation throughout the entirety of the area, as well as relief hedges on the outskirts of the farm. And we also have seating in the outdoor classroom that can hold a maximum capacity of about 25 to 30 students with a whiteboard for educational purposes.
Okay, so for the garden beds, we have movable garden beds, and then we also have permanent garden beds made out of stone. So we have the movable garden beds made out of wood, so they can be moved during months where we're not necessarily growing anything to maximize the space of our farm. Well, one of our big goals was to maximize our space. So that's a way we can.
And so this is our design for the pollinator garden. It's got flowers, some herbs, some bushes, small tree. And so it also holds the insect hotels where like the pollinators will live and be. And so I decided to make the shapes of those insect hotels, the districts of Somerville, to really tie that back to the idea of community and represent the community in the space. And then this is our map for ADA accessibility. And so the ADA, 3 feet wide for a space to be accessible. And so all the space highlighted in blue is ADA accessible, 3 feet wide. Again. And so all of that space is also floored with like a hard pavement or wood flooring. So people on wheelchairs and crutches can get around easy. They don't have to like struggle through gravel.
So a little bit of surrounding context behind this design. During the earlier stages of our design process, we kind of wanted to create a layer of permeable brick throughout the entirety of the farm. What we realized is that this permeable brick would, one, not only solve for flooding problems, but we could also use it as a system for rainwater collection. So the general idea was that the rainwater would be filtered through multiple layers of sediment and rock, and that would then be transferred through PVC pipes into tanks and then transferred throughout the entirety of the farm to be then pumped back into the garden beds, which will act as a year-round solution for when watering may be, which would act as a year-round solution where watering will be helpful for the plants. And then finally, kind of like capsulizing everything together is our 3D renderings that we created. So you can kind of see different perspectives of where we are in the site. This would kind of be the entrance of the site, located A here, where you kind of like look onto everything. You have the market on the right side, you have the garden beds on the left. You could kind of see the greenhouse and the indoor classroom space here. This is another perspective where you can kind of see where you're looking into the indoor classroom, and this is another perspective from like the outdoor pergola space that we were talking about that kind of looks on into the market space, and then the indoor classroom on the left. This is a plan view perspective, kind of showing how we developed our design from obviously the bubble diagrams, the sketches, this final design concept into this finalized design piece that we have here that's kind of 3D rendered and put together. Thank you very much. And a special thanks to our mentors, Sophie, Gideone, Chris, Nick, and Yasmin.
We also accept questions. No questions?
Or concerns?
So Groundwork Somerville has like classes from around Somerville come in and like tour the space just over time. So like school classrooms, mostly of I think like 5th graders and like to middle schoolers, somewhere in that area. So like those spaces are big enough for about 1 class size. So with indoor and outdoor seating, 2 classes can be there. And then also another class can be like taking a tour around the space. So it functions for like more kids than you'd think with just those 2 class spaces, each being about 1 class size.
And also added benefit of the outdoor classroom that it allows us to have some kind of space indoor and outdoors. So meaning that the classroom space will be accessible throughout the entirety of the year. That way that the class can be taught, whether it be in January, February, or in the summer times like we have now. The outdoor space is also specifically designed so where there's vegetation all around, and it still kind of incorporates that idea of a farm in its design.
I was just gonna say, also the fact that it's right next to a kitchen, you'd be teaching like cooking classes, how to cook with the crops from the farm.
And our TA Nisarga.
Thank you. Now we're going to recognize the hard work of Team Willow. So please come get your certificates. Okay, first, Emmanuel Mulualam, Samuel Falk, Amelia McNally, Caleb Idahor, Sid Hackett, and Anna Fan. Great work, everybody. Oh. Is this on? Hello? Hello? Okay. Next, we'll have Team Aspen.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us today. We're Team Aspen,
And this is our urban oasis. My name is Michelle and I go to Phillips Academy Andover.
My name is Violet and I go to the John D. O'Brien.
My name is Garabed and I go to Cambridge Region Latin School.
My name is Cesar and I'll be attending Wentworth Institute of Technology.
Unfortunately, we're missing someone today, but she lives on within our hearts.
So Groundwork Somerville dedicates its time into empowering youth in disadvantaged communities, as well as growing culturally relevant food. They do this by gathering the whole community around and really teaching the community how everything is locally produced.
Based on Groundwork Somerville's values, we created our own mission statement, which is cultivating a rooted community where knowledge grows from seed to harvest.
This is the current site highlighted in purple. As you can see, there's a lot of industrial space, offices, and commercial. The very few green areas around the neighborhood are separated by a railroad.
Though you can cross over these railroads with bikes, the lanes are very scarce.
And this is currently what it looks like, but in the future, there's going to be even more industrial and commercial spaces. So we really wanted to tap into the idea of creating this urban oasis as a reprieve from the busy urban life that many people lead.
These are the factors that affect our site, one of them being the train and the noise pollution it presents, and we'll get into that later.
Zooming into our site, we wanted to focus on our 8 main components, which the Zoom is covering one of them, but that's the greenhouse. And we wanted this layout to move from a more public and open area to more of a secluded and private area.
So here's a look at the material collage that we have going on. We really wanted our sites to say, we're open, we're warm, we're welcoming. So we decided to go with cedar wood for all of our wood-based components because it's warm, it's comforting, it's beautiful. We went with bluestone flagstone for our pats because it looks cool. And we had a lot of greenery. We made sure to have a lot of greenery throughout the entire garden to kind of really make it feel cozy. This is how pedestrians will flow through our entire site. And there's a table here, so I'm going to try not to step on it. But the entire market space is open, so you can enter our site through any corner of the marketplace. And then we also have a bike entrance here, so you can rack your bike in this shipping container. And as Violet said, we wanted there to be kind of a public to private sort of feeling. So once you cross the threshold of the busy, bustling market, you can kind of find peace and calm and just hang out with your friends or take a break in the more secluded tree line area. And we wanted it to, flow naturally.
We went through multiple iterations throughout our design process. We started off with a really blocky bubble diagram, and we moved forward towards more organic shapes. And as you can see, we really stuck with our tree line placement and our marketplace placement. And we really ended with a centralized greenhouse design.
So now we're going to go a little bit more into each component of our design.
As the marketplace is the main entrance to our site, we wanted to focus on different events that can take place here and diagrams of. Some of these events include the actual market where Groundwork Somerville will sell their crops along with other dishes, an evening spot where you can unwind from the busy city life around you. And during the winter when crops can't grow as well, we wanted a really cozy environment to keep the place alive during these times.
Our marketplace is made out of pergolas, which are made out of cedar wood, both because of their cozy look and because of how weatherproof they are.
Like I said before, our pads are all made of bluestone, including the ground for the marketplace. And polycarbonate also plays a big role in our design because it covers the tops of the pergolas to make them weatherproof. As well, we use it in our greenhouse, which you will see in a second, because it's inexpensive, it's durable, can be found anywhere.
Our garden spaces were designed with organic curves. This encourages the visitors to flow through the rest of our key components. The edges of the green spaces, we will have flowers and the middle will be occupied by our crops.
Our pollinator gardens consist of flowers that are local to Massachusetts, along with, because of their colorant, way more attractive to our pollinators.
Due to Somerville's diverse demographics, these are some of the culturally relevant crops that we could grow and that would be occupying the middle of our garden beds.
As most of our pathways are lined with our garden beds, we wanted you to be able to go through a leisurely walk on a sunny afternoon where you can stop and smell the flowers and really just unwind in this environment.
So now we're moving to the focal point of our design, which is the greenhouse. And as you can see, everything kind of just flows around it, which is what we were going for. This greenhouse has gone through at least 4 iterations, gut-wrenching iterations, and we finally settled on this biodome. So you can't really see it here, but there's a render later on that's more realistic. But all these bonings are going to be also made from cedar wood to echo the rest of the materials on our site. And we want this to be a space not only where greenery can flourish, but also where knowledge can flourish so that kids and the community can learn about the crops that we're growing in here and how they can use them.
The kitchen and seating area is in the more private part because it's used mostly for teaching. It's made out of bricks due to like how bricks are cozy and weatherproof as well, along with like the same cedarwood material for the pergolas.
And we really wanted it to feel homey, like you could literally be in your house. And we can see the kids learning how to cook. We can smell the aroma of whatever they're grilling there. So we just wanted it to be very homey feeling.
Seating area is an extension to the kitchen. It also serves as an outdoor classroom space and another gathering area. This was strategically placed in a corner so that it feels cozy and encourages people to interact with one another. Tree line is a main component of our garden. As previously mentioned before in our site analysis, there's a railroad right behind our site. What we did to basically avoid the noise pollution and the industrial area surrounding our site, we did a tree line.
This tree line consists of 5 curves, 2 of which are used as a stairwell and pollinator garden. These are for the staff to be able to reach where it's mostly accessible for the workers instead of the overall community so that they can tend to the bees, which some members may not be as inclined to interact with. Not only this, we have our composting in the opposite side to our main seating in order for a more enclosed environment, which the kids can come and learn more about that.
And some people are not as inclined to smell the compost.
The tree line consists of a water collection system as well, which the excess water from the trees and above space, as it's quite wide in comparison to most of our site, this water system, it collects in the bottom of it and then travels to our main water source.
In addition to collecting water from the tree line, we have these water collection systems placed beneath the greenhouse and the marketplace. What it does is that it captures stormwater, it filters it and stores it in a tank, which is later pumped out and will be used as a drip irrigation system to water our plants.
Kind of looping back around the other side of our garden, we have our shipping container, which is taken from the current Groundwork Somerville site and is used for bike storage and like a tool storage, stuff like that. And it's also an opportunity for like local artists to like paint murals and stuff.
And once our site is complete, this is what it will look like. I'll show you a more detailed rendering. This melted my computer. But this is in the context of Somerville. I quite literally took the buildings from the map and directly put them onto this rendering to see how the sun will affect the shade and what that would affect, how that would affect our urban farm and the crops and everything. And here's what it would look like. At night, it looks a little sketchy because I didn't put in the streetlights around because my computer was already overheating. But this is what it would look like when it's in use. And speaking of actually using the urban farm, we're going to go back to the values and our mission statement. So we're going to try to cultivate a rooted community where knowledge grows from seed to harvest. Thank you. Do we have any questions, comments, concerns? No?
That means we did good.
Oh, and much thanks to our TA, Ruth, who's stuck with us.
Very much thank you.
Process.
I am very much proud of you guys' work, and I want you to recognize and take note of how you guys have developed, not only as students, but professionals and even as individuals. And I'm gonna miss you guys a lot. So here's some certificates for you guys. So we have Violet, Garabet, Michelle, and Mariah, which she's not here today, but we keep her in our hearts. Thank you. I know. Team Sycamore.
Hey, folks, I know we're all super excited, but let's keep it down and listen to all of the teams, please. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Parmis.
I'm Marina.
I'm Jay.
I'm Yvonne.
My name is Amani.
And we're so excited to introduce to you the Chromapod, an exhibition for everyone. Today, we'll begin with the site analysis, jump into the concept and proposal, and finish off with a conclusion. So let's get to know the Chromapod's new home. Zooming out, as you can see, 10 World Trade is right near the water, which is especially important for our design. Zooming in, Seaport for a long time has been quite an exclusive area, especially with the median household income being the highest of any other Boston zip code. Therefore, for 10 World Trade, it was especially important for them to bring more diverse individuals into their lobby space. And specifically for us, it was important to look at design, for our design, how we can bring both the workers and public into the space and how they will circulate through.
So here we have our two plans, our site and floor plan, and both of these plans show like different types of things. So the site plan shows the actual whole building, the 10 World Trade Center, and then the kiosk in it. So we place our kiosk in front of the doors, so like it would attract a lot of people in the public. And like what's it called? Seaport isn't really a welcoming place. You have to have a lot of money to do certain stuff there. And then we have our floor plan of the actual kiosk and the octopus shape.
Yeah, no, getting into our concepts, kind of like our inspiration, we really wanted to kind of mirror the free flowing forms of the 10 World Trade and have our kiosk kind of blend seamlessly into the lobby. And so we looked to the ocean for kind of inspiration of the free flowing forms that would feel very accessible as well as interesting to the people who are going to see them. We really decided on the idea of inclusive, adaptable, and for everyone as the mission statement for our kiosk. And this kind of started with the idea of shadow, light, and translucency. We wanted to draw people in kind of with the idea of translucency. Like you'll look at the ocean, you kind of see light refracting through the water. You look into the water, you're inspired, you're interested, you want to go in, you want to explore more. And we really took that idea for our kiosk. We wanted it to be accessible to both the public and the artists very easily. For kids, we used colorful and interesting materials. For adults, we made it reconfigurable and ever changing. And then at the end of the day, it's really for everyone because the artists can really configure it and adjust it to display their art in the best way possible. And that comes through flexibility, flair, and then a facilitation of connection and comfort. These are just some kind of rudimentary sketches that show how diverse of a mood and how diverse of a space our kiosk really can be, with people flowing through in different ways and the LED lights facilitating kind of a different feel.
Okay, so how's the Chromapod going to even work? So we'll begin by first talking about the arms. So as Jay was noting, playfulness was a really important aspect for our design. So as you can see at the model at the top, we really tried to harness shadows and light by seeing the silhouettes through. Also kind of going on with that playfulness, as you can see here, we have the maze like gallery space that ends at that mantle, and also having staggering heights for each of the walls that kind of mimics the coral and the playfulness through that. Also, we made the design decision of using semicircle columns to be able to suit both functionality and aesthetics by being able to use that flat side for hanging shelving and art. So here, this really shows, this is a stop motion that shows that configurability. In the beginning, you could see that it was all wrapped up, and that's how we're hoping to store at the end of the day. But really, we want to use this so that the artist can really be able to transform the gallery space and maximize the area that's given to them to fully be able to display their art the way they want to. And this just continues to go on about the different configurations that are possible. If there's 3 artists, 2 artists, or 1, any of those are a possibility. Also, if the artist wants a more intimate and enclosed space, you can see at the top corner, that's a possibility. Also understanding that digital art is becoming more and more popular these days. We also thought about that by having an opportunity to use projection in a space as well. Looking more directly into, thank you, into the arm components themselves, we first explored perforation with the laser cutter to be able to have LED lights shine through. And we wanted to go beyond just that because perforation serves the aesthetics, but we want to go beyond that. So we decided to double that with a pegboard system that allowed us to be able to hang art in shelves that fosters both aesthetics and functionality. And as you can see here, we wanted that perforation pattern to kind of mimic bubbles like the sea to further emphasize our connection back to the ocean. And this is what it looks like on the model itself. And you can see that, especially if it is backlit with those LED lights, it really can have that sense of being in the ocean and the feeling that we want to invoke.
Yeah, just real quick, these are some kind of examples of how the perforation and pegging system looks. And we really just want to emphasize that you can show all kinds of different art. You can show big art, small art, 2D art, 3D art. You can make it accessible to all different kinds of groups by being able to customize the height.
So you're probably wondering for all those configurations, how that would even work with all that movement that we're hoping to use. So we thought about that. And first, for the stability aspect, we want to have a weighted disc on the bottom of each column, which also doubles as a system for hiding the wheels within to be able to do all those movements that we're accounting for. And this is an exploded axon, and I specifically want to draw your attention to the LED light at the bottom. We'll also have one at the top to really fully maximize that glowing throughout the whole structure.
So the next section of our proposal is the mantle. But before I go into more details, I sort of wanted to briefly explain the inspiration behind the design. If you didn't already know, the big sack behind the octopus's head is actually referred to as the mantle. And that's where the creature stores most of its vital and important organs, such as the brain, the heart, and the stomach. So similarly, our own mantle design functions the same way, and it dual serves as a storage and display structure. We sort of wanted to still play with the perforation system that Parmis mentioned earlier. So we have a pegboard facade that's backlit, and the pegboard would make it easy for the artist to use to hang up shelving and display their 3D pieces. And on the bottom, we have a secure space for the artist to place their own personal belongings. And on the right side here, this is a more of an interior model that shows the additional storage inside. And this is an example of the mantle with widgets on, because we wanted to make it really customizable and flexible for the artists to change things according to their own taste and discretion. And they can create an exhibition space if they wish, if they want to sell art. And this is an exploded axon of the mantle, and it shows how all the pieces just fit together.
So really quickly, I'm going to be talking to you guys about the materials. We want it to be simple, and so we had an acrylic semicircle for the tubes, fabric, maybe lycra, and a weighted base, kind of like metal or a light metal, and yeah. And so on the fabric, we wanted to have a sail-like mechanism with on one end having it thick to slide into the column, and on the bottom, we would have a hook to connect it for being more stable.
So why do we believe the chromopod is the right choice? As you can see, there are a lot of words to describe the chromopod, some being adaptable, inclusive, and dynamic. But the most important part of our design is that it is for everyone. So let's take the plunge and invite the chromopod to its new home at 10 World Trade. Thank you.
Any questions?
Any questions?
Any questions? One last thing. I just want to thank Emily here. She helped us so much. And all the parents, thank you so much for coming.
And of course, the mentors too. Thank you.
Congratulations, Sycamore. You guys did a fantastic job. I'm so happy with the work you did. So I'll pass out your certificates and your Dunkin' gift cards. So Imani, congratulations. Yvonne, fantastic job. Armis, wonderful. Last but not least, Marina, fantastic job, all of you.
Thank you. We're gonna revert back to seat 1 and we'll have Venus Flytrap come up.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mateo Roy. I'm a rising junior at Cambridge Ringe and Latin.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alexis Carvajal. I'm a rising junior from Cathedral.
Hi, everyone. My name is Angela Nunez. I am a rising senior and I go to Excel Academy Charter High School.
Nice. And I'm Sakina Cotton. I'm going to be a senior at Phillips Andover. All right.
And we are VFT.
So to start us off, when we were tasked with turning a junkyard into Groundwork's urban farm, we were first shocked, and then we were more determined to preserve the food access and educational power of the urban farm. So throughout our presentation, we're going to walk you through our words and our visuals, our concepts and iterative research that made our vision possible.
So we're going to get into some context right now. So as you can see here, we have the current site and then we have a new proposed site. So with this new proposed site, we wanted to point out roads, which are access points, which the road or people could possibly tune into. We also want to point out some residential areas, school, offices, shopping, just anywhere where people could tap into the proposed site. Oh, also, here we have another view of the proposed site, and here we just have a bunch of development going on here as we see a big orange building that will eventually be built.
Here's another context map. From this one, we learned that from the Target shopping area and lots of this residential area, it's kind of difficult to get to the site. So we thought about that when we were designing our entrance points. And another point that we realized was the Union Square Green Line train station. And that is a very useful tool that we can take advantage of because that'll bring lots of people to the area.
Okay, so here's our team manifesto. As you know, my team, we actually believe in design should help improve the daily lives of others, be inclusive to all walks of life, and to reflect the spirit of the people or the history. And also, our farm aims to accomplish this by creating a space that can serve the community, educate, and serve the people. Oh, and to provide food, sorry.
So starting with our materials, the materials that we will be using for the kitchen, the bridge, and part of our greenhouse will be beechwood. For our raised garden beds and walls, we'll be using concrete curbs. And then for our bike rack and roofing of the kitchen and the rack, we'll be using corrugated metal. At the bottom, you can see is our color palette, which is implemented in the accents of the materials that we are using. And also this color palette we are planning to use around in murals and around the site. And this color palette is warm and welcoming, and we want to create that atmosphere in our site.
Okay, up here we have a president for our cascading terrace gardens, which you can see there.
Okay, going to the inspiration of the insect hotels, one of the concerns in the current site was their accessibility to the insect hotels. So as you can see in that photo over there, there is like hexagon windows. We took that inspiration and we created some type of insect hotels that would be one accessible for the volunteers at Groundworks to be able to clean out the insect hotels, but to also be exploratory to the kids that are entering to this classroom.
So yeah, I got one. With all that brainstorming done, we then delved into the layout of our site because we wanted to focus on one, grouping functionality and seeing how people are going to use our space, as well as the different activities, the access to those. And we'll explain on the.
Okay, so I want to point out a few things that are important to our site. The garden beds are specifically placed in the middle for circulation throughout the site. There is an entry point on the top near South Street, and there's another entry point which is being covered too over here by the Roosevelt Towers. So the point of the garden beds being there would be accessible for both entry points. Another point I want to point out is if you look down here is the classroom/amphitheater. Around this area, there will be a school, and we added that classroom/amphitheater in that corner specifically because we wanted to invite students from that school to come into our site. On the top, also the marketplace and community is on the edge of South Street because South Street is a pretty busy street, and there is also a bike lane, and we wanted to have people who are walking by biking to be invited to come in to our site.
So here we have detail and designs. So I was able to actually make a 3D model, a 3D virtual model of the whole Somerville site. And here's a close-up you see of our site, and it will be actually placed into it, and we'll show you later on. And here's a bird's eye view of the new proposed site, which our close-up model will be placed in. We'll just stay on this side.
Okay, here we have two cutouts of the amphitheater and indoor classroom as well. Over here is the cut of this wall up top. One key thing is that it's reinforced with rebar to hold the weight of the green roof. And we're thinking for the floor to use recycled rubber and kind of like the what you see at a park. So it's like kind of squishy, almost like a trampoline, because kids like to jump around. And then down here, it's kind of covered, but it's a cutout of the amphitheater. We want to use curves because that's a pretty natural shape and inviting shape. We have a filtration system, which goes through the wooden slats and then gets filtered through a bunch of rocks.
Here is a diagram I made of a green roof, as you can see by those two diagrams. So the idea we wanted to keep in mind is that rainwater would essentially come through this decking layer right here into these pipes that will be deposited into a cinder block, which then the cinder block would be connected to some sort of barrel, which will have water in it that we'll use for irrigation. And another thing we want to keep in mind is these materials right here we want to use during our green roof. Yeah. Here are some renders. Here we just have
Well, this is the bird's eye view of our renders. We had a really fun time with it, putting our 3D model into a very nice vision.
Here is just a 3D model of our close-up in actual Somerville. Here's it in action, as you can see.
Yeah, with the people, walking through the garden beds or at the marketplace.
And here's a view from the amphitheater onto the classroom. You can see the cascading terraces. We put that in to make it feel like one structure, both rooms, and make it feel more connected and inviting.
This is a render I made on Photoshop. My goal with this one was to show the connection and the community between the amphitheater and the stage of the classroom.
And then this is a few views of this marketplace that Angela already explained. It's supposed to be able to handle a very heavy flow of traffic as people enter from the street. And there are also some views from the bridge that we've also implemented to the site, which can be used for one, just like having a more dynamic and engaging activity with the site, as well as being able to perform little garden beds on top of the roof and collect rainwater or have murals underneath it. Here's
another render I made on Photoshop also. So with this one, I wanted to show the community with the connection of the bridge, which has fairy lights, and also the garden beds.
On the top part, you can see inside the greenhouse, we have the plants elevated so that people in wheelchairs can access it and like plant as well.
And the bottom is our kitchen that's also going to be used to either prepare foods from the farmers markets or the mobile stores and have people be able to use that.
And here's a bird's eye view of it in action. And we hope that our close-up model can not only educate, provide food, but also serve the community all in all.
Always.
Always. We advise y'all, please take out your phones and connect with the whole team via LinkedIn, got our little logo. Thought that was pretty cool. Yeah.
And once again, we are VFT.
What?
And thank you to our amazing TA Zeke.
And Seed.
So these guys did amazing, amazing job, and it was really fun to work with everybody. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, you can ask them. But I'll give them out. Also, yeah, if you would love, I'd love you guys to take out your phone and connect with us on LinkedIn. But yeah, these guys were really good. I'm really glad that we had the team together, and a really good dynamic. And I want to hand out you guys congratulations for the continuing this the program. So first to Sakina Cotton. Then to Mateo, to Angela, and finally to Alexis.
Next is Team Ginkgo.
Hello, we're Team Ginkgo, and this is our final presentation. I'm Amos.
I'm Iyasu.
I'm Elena.
I'm Victor.
My name is Evie.
So as you've heard by now, our site's in the city of Somerville. It's very attractive to developers, and a lot of new buildings are going up in the area. And Groundwork Somerville's urban farm is on one of these development sites. So now the building's going up, they have to move.
And I'm also sure you've heard enough of this, but Groundwork Somerville is a nonprofit organization, and basically everything they do is centered around education, ecology, and food production.
Going into more context about the site, there are different modes of transportation to our site. The gray lines represent the main roads, and the green lines are the bike lanes. There's also a train track, which will create a lot of noise, but we have trees to diffuse it. And then there's also a train station, which is where most of the flow of people are going to be coming from. And then this is a map of the different bus stops, which are all walking distance away from our site.
To add on, these are all the buildings that are around our site. So the dashed circle represents a 10-minute walking radius. As you can see by the purple, there's a lot of residential areas, and there's also other parks and businesses. Somerville also has a large food insecurity. In around the site, there's only about 3 food resources. However, these resources are not always affordable for everybody.
So these are design challenges, basically everything we were tasked to include into our design. If you look on the left-hand side of the slide, you'll see there's kind of an icon that correlates to all the bullets. And then in addition to that, our site is unfortunately on a parking lot. And then under that site, there's soil, but it's contaminated with lead. And so, of course, we took that into consideration when planning our site.
So before we even started any of this, we thought of what do we want in this project? And we came up with all these words, but ultimately it led us to this idea of teamwork and community, which we implemented throughout our design.
So this just shows the progression of our site layout and what it would look like. Here's our actual 3D model SketchUp that I implemented all of our designs within one model, and it's all up as well as a floor plan.
And these are the materials. So on the left, we have our color scheme for this site, which was used by taking a photo of the current Groundwork Somerville.
And then on the right, we have all the materials that we will be using. We really wanted to focus on recycled materials like the concrete curbs and the shipping containers that they already have at their site. And then now using milk crates and stone dust too.
Here's one of our renders. This is a view from the stage and community space, looking out towards the outdoor kitchen. You can see some of these vertical garden beds on the right. More about those in a minute. Here's the next render. This is the model of our site placed in its final location. Right with that parking lot with all the trucks, there is going to be more buildings. So you can imagine residential high rises there. But that's our site in context.
So now we'll be going into our individual design components. So this is the kitchen and storage. Basically, the way we're going to make this is we're going to take 2 storage containers and put them together. One will be coming from the current site, and then one will just get. And you can see the icons again. So there's one for storage and a washing station. And then here we have the floor plan of the inside. And then here's like a zoomed out view with the outdoor classroom and the outdoor kitchen as well. And then, yeah, you can see we have solar panels on the roof, which is going to like power that little building plus the outdoor kitchen. And then here is a little detailed view of how the tarps are going to be connected to the poles and sides of the building.
Here's a more detailed view of the greenhouse. So for the greenhouse, the main material that we'll be using is ETFE. It's a plastic that's very durable and can insulate extremely well. Using it in our greenhouse, we should even be able to grow plants in the winter. So all 4 seasons. In addition to this, the steel structural beams around the top will have a channel in them so that rainwater can flow to one side and be collected for later use.
As he mentioned, the rainwater collected from the greenhouse is going to be filtered and stored into a rain barrel, which then will be pumped throughout our site into the different garden beds and vertical gardens. More onto the garden beds, we're going to reuse the granite curves from the current site and then add a plastic liner, which will keep the moisture in. Here's one of the spots where we're keeping the asphalt because we don't want the contaminated soil to mix in with the new soil that we're adding.
And then this is the welcome area. On the left, you have the 3D model made in SketchUp, and then on the right, some inspiration. But basically, this will just serve as like a welcoming kind of, welcome area. It'll be the first thing people see because it's right next to the main paths. So it's like a nice thing where they can, feel welcome and safe to come in.
So here's a pollinator garden I made. In the top right there, you can see what it would look like in the site. And the bottom is my section. You can see the different layers and where I replaced the soil. Here's a water runoff diagram, which shows how the water would run off into the drain to get more drainage. Here's a list of all the plants that would be good to consider for pollination and as well as drainage. I included the northern red oak because it buffers noise, and as well, it's our main tree in the site around the mushroom bed and behind the greenhouse.
So now I'll talk about our community space and market. So on the left, we have our mobile market, which we can be placed anywhere throughout the site. This is going to be for the farm people to use, produce culturally relevant foods to other people and any other ingredients or things that the farm may want to do. And then on the right, we have the underground section of the stage. So as we mentioned before, we are keeping the asphalt from the parking lot. And because of this, we are going to have to dig under and place gravel. Because we don't want these 2 substrates to mix, we are going to place a concrete curb in between. On the surface, there is a dome to provide shade for the people inside of the stage. And this is located in the center of our site because we wanted to really focus on this aspect of community and teamwork. Throughout this whole process, we wanted to create a space that would benefit the neighborhood. And this program taught us a lot about how to make a design that satisfies us, but also the neighborhood and community that we're serving. From 3D modeling to site visits and even life skills, this program has taught us more than the elements of design, but real life lessons. So we would like to give thanks to all our mentors, TAs, and audience for supporting us throughout this journey. And we hope that this design will help the new development for the Groundwork to Somerville new site. Thank you.
Hi. I was their TA, Jillian, and now I'm going to give out your awards. Good job, guys. I'm so proud of you. Evie. Amos. Malena. Victor. And Yasu. Congrats, guys. Last but not least.
Hello. Hi, everyone. I just wanted to say thank you also really quick. For those of you who haven't met me, my name's Leah. I'm actually the current manager of South Street Farm, so the site that all of these wonderful young people were redesigning for us. And I just also wanted to say I met a lot of these wonderful students about 5 or 6 weeks ago when they first came to visit the site. And I had no idea that there were going to be so many fantastic designs today. And I'm so honored that we have been the recipient of this work and this project. I know for a lot of us at Groundwork Somerville, the idea of moving the farm is actually really hard. There's been a lot of effort and work put into it over the years. But seeing all of these fantastic designs gives me so much hope for what our organization can look like in the future. So thank you guys so much for all of your hard work.
Hi, everyone. My name is Meredith McCarthy. I'm an architect here at Sasaki. I'm also on the board of the foundation. I have 2 really big congratulations. The first, you saw 2 projects here today that were art kiosks for the 10 World Trade Project. Team Sassafras, better known maybe as Team We2, won their competition earlier this week on Wednesday. And that kiosk is going to go into fabrication and will be built next year and will be in the lobby of 10 World Trade. So that team, really great job, but I think there's a larger congratulations here, and that goes to all of the students who have participated this summer. This is our 6th year. It is by and large our most students that we've ever had. And I know there are parents in the room as well. I cannot tell you, I spent 8 months on my thesis project. I have my master's, and I think these 6 weeks have more detail than my thesis. So I am just overjoyed at you all being the next generation of designers that are entering the design world. We are in very good hands. And so to the parents out here, you have stellar talent here, and I hope that you can support that and continue to foster that, because these students are all just incredibly impressive, and I hope that they make their way into the design world. So thank you everyone for coming. Thank you to the mentors. Thank you to the foundation staff for such amazing support throughout the whole summer. And congratulations to everybody. This was just a phenomenal, phenomenal set of presentations.
I just have a few words for our students. I hope I don't cry up here. I am extremely proud, above and beyond. We interviewed you. We interviewed you along with Jen, and we were really taken by surprise at how amazing you all did on your interviews. And then seeing you all enter the program and be so, green and not experienced with all these big, large concepts, and to see you now, how eloquent at speaking. I've seen students that have literally had a hard time talking in public now be so poised and able to present to a room full of lots of strangers. So I am extremely proud and excited for where you all are going in life. Stay in touch with our organization. We will do whatever we can to support you, and keep in touch with us. We have alumni programs during the summer, during the rest of the year, and really hope that we have a long-lasting connection. Stay connected to your teams. I have friends that I've had from 15 years ago. I have people that I've known from my programs, and it may sound, like insignificant sometimes, but these people walk with you for life, so definitely don't forget that. And I'm extremely proud of you all, and congratulations again for this 2023 season.